Good evening and welcome to a Mitch'nand and Mauck'n About the Cards podcast. I'm Mitchell, and alongside, he's the owner and proprietor of the Superstition Ranch, where tonight, Nikki from West Virginia is on the main stage. Quite the
We
gift
are
for the
looking
ranch
forward
tonight.
to this.
We got a
you know
short
what?
show
We got a
tonight.
pack house.
We
Yep.
all just hit the ATM and we are headed to see Nikki on the main stage. Tyrell, we talked about it before we started the camera. We could do the weekend review. I've watched an inning of baseball, man, in the last week. I did my notes. I did my research for the show, and I love baseball. And you're a baseball guy as well, but I don't like baseball right now.
I've watched more Mizzou football than I have baseball in the last week, and that was a blowout last week. I've watched more of that game than I did the Cardinals. I just have not been interested. You can't pay me right now to watch them.
I've
and we
watched
do
the
a Cardinals
Rice
podcast
Owls more than I've watched the Cardinals.
It's fair.
And you know what? Every day, we get the MLB push notifications. Mason Wynn has hung it up for the year. Contreras is now done. You could offer me $1,000, man. I couldn't tell you what the lineup was yesterday afternoon.
No clue. Let's do something positive, okay? Let's do this week in review. Liam Doyle is dominating in Double-A, and the Double-A team is going for the championship. Let's think some positive stuff. So there's some good stuff coming, maybe.
The future does look bright. There is some exciting pitching prospects. The catching prospects are certainly worth talking about. And when we look at this offseason on what the team's going to look like, what are you going to do with Ivan Herrera? Are you going to try to put him back behind the plate? Or is he now your left fielder going forward? Pages is not the long-term answer. I still am in that camp that Pedro Pages is a really good backup catcher in the MLB. He's got some pop, and he's okay defensively. Pozo was a great story, but he's probably not it. Crooks has looked okay at times, but there's hope. But are we going to have to wait another 3 years before that hope arrives?
28?
28. No, next year's going to be bad, and probably a lockout in 27.
Yeah, which is going to stunt, because you're going to have your minor leaguers going to be out too. That's going to stunt their growth. So you're looking 28, 29 to actually start competing. Oh, 3 more years of this.
I don't know if I've got 3 years in me, Tyrell. I don't know if I want to watch for 3 more years. I'm going to find something else to do in the spring and in the summer.
I'm not paying my $160 a year to MLB to watch the Cardinals.
You want this to become a WNBA podcast? Like,
Ooh.
Hot for the Fever or something? We could be an Indiana Fever, podcast. Shout out to Sophie Cunningham.
I enjoy Caitlin Clark. Yeah, let's do it. I enjoy Caitlin Clark. Let's go. I'm in. I'm out here in Phoenix. You know what? My barber's got the hookup for the club seats and everything to watch Phoenix Mercury?
Yes.
We can do this. I like where we're
heading.
Well,
if we're not back, this is to become a WNBA podcast for all 7 fans of the WNBA. Tyrell, the final attendance numbers are in. The Cardinals are going to finish 19th in MLB in attendance this year. Well below even 2.5 million. 3 is the magic number, according to ownership, to spend money. They aren't even close. LA, the Mets, the Cubs, of course, all finished in your top 5. They finished behind Milwaukee. They finished behind the Colorado Rockies. And shout out to those fans. Those guys are the fan base, super loyal, watching a team that's going to win 45 games. They're ahead of the Cardinals in attendance. Bill DeWitt III chuckled when he said the fans didn't want to show up. Nobody showed up. Yesterday, they said 22,000 paid attendance. Glancing through it, there was no way there was 15,000 butts in seats.
Yeah. You reap what you sow. That you said, put your money where your mouth is, and we put our money where our mouth is. We didn't go. Now, that's coming from a dude who went to 4 games this year. I mean, I still went and saw, but is an inferior product. But I don't blame the fans for not going and seeing this. For the longest time, Derek Gould in his podcast has said the fans have the right to speak with their money, and we're speaking with it, and hopefully they're recognizing what's going on. And I think they are, and I think that's why this shift is happening. But then again, I still think that they've cooked the golden goose and are trying to get rid of it.
Hey, speaking of Gould, what happened to that guy? If you followed him on X, on Twitter, in the last 4 or 5 years, he's become snarky and the short comments back. It used to be you could rap back and forth with Gould on Twitter about some intelligent baseball stuff, but if you question or even challenge him, he gets snarky real quick and then blocks you.
Yeah. Is that and I hate this kind of analogous, is that old man thing of, hey, give me the respect because, I've been doing this a long time and I've earned this. You're like, you still got to earn it all the time, bro. It isn't just given.
And Bernie
I
was
don't
the
know.
same way. Bernie's kind of fallen off as
Mhm.
well. I mean, all the local media has in St. Louis, and that's why podcasts like ours pop up to try to interact with guys like us who want the inside information. And you wonder how, in the changing of the guard, if those guys have lost their access too, to a point.
I think Bernie said he has lost a lot of his access since he kind of got booted out of KMOX a couple years ago, and it's a whole shame change of regime. I don't think he's got as much access as he used to have.
And so you wonder if that's maybe Gold Story too. I mean, newspapers are a dying thing anyway, and so they have to
Mhm.
drive content however they can to get clicks on their website through Twitter or whatever social media they're using. But it's just not even fun to interact with the writers anymore. And you used to, like I
Yeah.
said, be able to go back and forth with those guys on message boards on Twitter. When Gould wrote his book, he a message board I was a part of. Gould came and did a Q&A for probably a solid hour, but
That's
you
awesome.
can't even get anything out of these guys anymore. Maybe they're just tired of watching this shit too.
I could see that, but yeah, I it's been you could ask him a question he would answer, but now it's just like he's oblivious to it. And I mean, the world we live in now, he's probably bombarded with bullshit and trash all the time. So I get it to a certain extent, but when a genuine fan reaches out, like there's no need to be the snarkiness like there is with him.
I guess if you read every day DFA anytime somebody sucks, you would probably lose your mind too.
Yeah, probably.
Which I would guess half the population has no idea what a DFA still means to this day.
Probably not. Yeah.
Tyrell, we're kind of finishing up on the John Mozeliak era. He took over for our guy Walt Jocketty after the 2008 season. Rest in peace to Walt, the mastermind of our youth, so to speak. What do you think ultimately? And don't look a couple weeks from now because the pitchforks are still out. We're all willing to help.
Yeah.
John Mozeliak pack his bags. Look 2 years from now. What is his legacy? I guess ultimately going to be.
I literally wrote this kind of down. Is we said in a previous comment podcast where you say where you die a hero, you live long enough to be see yourself become the villain. And I think for the first 5-6 years he's retired, the last half of his tenure is gonna really overshadow the first half of his tenure, where he did some pretty amazing things with the Cardinals and what he was given. Bringing back Mark McGwire as a hitting coach was at that time pretty tenuous, and he wasn't welcome back in baseball, and he let him back in. So I think we get a couple years away from Mo. His contribution to Cardinals is really going to be felt. He did some amazing things. I mean, the guy was a part of 2 world championships. The Cardinals went to what? 11, 13 in the World Series and gave us some bright spots to look at. So in reality, he's probably going to go to the Hall of Fame himself, in the Baseball Hall of Fame, Cardinals Hall of Fame, because general managers like that don't last with teams as long anymore. And to have somebody that's lasted this long with an organization through the entire time, through some pretty great times as well, I I think his legacy is ultimately going to be one of the better general managers in the Cardinals pantheon. I remember I had just moved out here to Arizona, and the 2016 when they signed Dexter Fowler, I just when I was in a truck and I heard it, and I was with my partner, and I looked at him and I go, "Dude, there is no way they should have signed Dexter Fowler. That is a knee jerk signing." And I think since that time, it has been bad decision after bad decision. And I think he's been chasing and trying to figure out what to do and try to make the baseball team better. He's tried. I'll give him that.
But then you also look at he did make a trade for Matt Holliday, which was one of the biggest trades at the time. And our thing has always kind of been when we've talked about it. He was always good at those minor moves, the John
Mhm.
Lackeys, picking up that random bullpen arm. But he missed on every single big move outside of Matt Holliday the last 10 years of his career.
The 2011 trades, well, I will give him due props on that. Getting rid of Rasmus and bringing in Jip Siskimski and rest in peace, Octavio Dotel. The Ronnie Belliard trade and bringing him in. Like there was some smooth moves made there. Those guys at the end of their career, hey, we can get a little bit more out of them, but also there were a little bit of Dave Duncan too in there that helped out with that, and LaRussa, like, hey man, like Jeff Weaver and all those guys, like, I mean, that might have been a jockey, but like you're right, those little moves to get those guys at the end of their careers that give you that little bit, they got still some gas tank. It's pretty good. And
They
it
pulled
kind of,
Lance Berkman off the scrap heap.
yeah, he was done. Beltron, that was a good signing. Brought him in. I mean, so those little moves, you're absolutely 100% right that he knew that he could get a little bit more out of these guys. It just, these last 10 years are really going to kind of shadow him for the next 5 to 6, 8 years he's out of baseball.
But, for every small move, that was great. Mike Leake, Miles Michaelis, and he's pitched well enough. They're going to offer him a contract. They are, to provide stability going into next season. Because I believe Sonny's under contract. Obviously, McGreevy and Libby. Because you got 2 spots you're going to have to fill. And I see Miles Michaelis getting a 1-year Pello deal just because that's going to be Mo's parting shot to us. Announced on the last home regular season finale. Here you go. Here's another year of Miles Michaelis. Go fuck yourselves, Cardinal fans.
Yeah, enjoy this. But you know what? I will give Miles credit. He said, come out and boo me. Well, man, I'm going to come out and boo you because you're making way too much money in this thing. I think $8 million a year is too much for Miles Michaelis after I watch you. And also, Adrian Palante. Come on, man. I don't know if I can watch much more of that either. That's been pretty
we
bad
ran Miles all over the place. We talked about Fetty. His ERA is just as bad as Fetty's was when they got rid of him. Palante was great as a swing guy, but then when they started to decide, hey, we can make this guy a starter, that's when the wheels fall off the bus for him.
Yep.
Speaking of John Mozeliak and his inability to craft an outfield, and that's been probably one of the biggest problems. Since the day, Oscar Tavares passed away, they've been chasing that guy since. Steven Piscotty, Randall Grichuk, Tyler O'Neill, the list goes on failed outfielders. What's your favorite outfield of all time? And you have to have seen these guys play. We can't throw Lou Brock in there, etc., and those old 60s outfielders. What's your favorite outfield you've ever seen play for the Cardinals?
I'm actually going to show my age here a little bit. Not that the gray hair is not helping me out right now. I was a young boy when the St. Louis Cardinals had this tandem. Andy Van Slyke, Willie McGee, and Vince Coleman was the trio that got me into baseball and sold me into baseball. That's up there for me.
The middle 80s, late 80s, one before they moved Van Slyke. Mine, when I got really into baseball in middle school, 96, they just kind of redone Busch Stadium. La Russa came on. There's new hope. Ron Gant, Ray Langford, and Brian Jordan.
That's a great, Ron Gant had the biggest friggin' arms of anybody I had ever seen. It's a great one.
Hit bomb.
And you know what's annoying about the Brian Jordan thing is he's so little talked about being a multi-sport athlete. Everybody forgets that he was a cornerback for the Falcons too.
He was a Pro Bowler too, I believe. I think he made the Pro Bowl one year. But he didn't have he obviously didn't have a lot of flash. He got rid of baseball, went into baseball pretty quickly. Did only spend, I think, 2 or 3 years in the NFL. He's on Tecmo's Super Bowl for the Falcons. He and Primetime are the same defensive backfield.
Yes, just crazy.
And of course, I think the best one of the modern era, I consider the La Russa era for the modern era. Give me Reggie Sanders in left, Jimmy Ballgame in center, and Larry Walker in right field.
That was a hell of an outfield.
Reggie Sanders, no slouch, bro.
No, he was not. And slept on. Dude could rake. He crushed the ball. Yeah.
25, 30 home run type guy, 15 steal speed. Reggie Sanders got slept on those great Cardinal teams of the mid-2000s.
Yes, he did. That was a great lineup. If you you're on TikTok, sometimes you'll see those lineups that haven't won a World Series. That was a lineup that should have won a World Series, and he was a part of that. He did some amazing things.
They just didn't show up in the 04 World Series. It was only Larry Walker and Dan Herron who showed up that entire series.
Yeah. I mean, they kept pitching to David Ortiz. I mean, how are you going to beat that team? That was a team of destiny. You just can't.
To this day, bro, if they play the Yankees, they win the World Series.
Yeah. And I think they sweep them. Yes.
I would die on that hill.
I'm with you on that one.
Finally tonight, let's give some flowers out. Clayton Kershaw is retiring. Clayton Kershaw has 2 of the best moments in Cardinal postseason history. He's pitching for the other team. Tyrell, what's your favorite?
I was at the Matt Adams games, bro. watching, being at that stadium and hearing the crack of that bat and the roar of that crowd right now, just talking about it gives me cold chills. I love that. I was with my now wife. She looked at me and she goes, I love Cardinals baseball. This is amazing. I've never been a part of something just that spectacular. And I was hugging the dude next to me, had no idea who he was. It was pandemonium. I loved that moment. That was the greatest home run I've ever seen in person.
Matt Adams was actually playing for the KC Monarchs independent ball. I met him. He sent a ball for my daughter. I was like, the first thing out of my mouth, dude, you own Kershaw. He's like, I'm down here playing for $50 a game or whatever. That's the one thing somebody remembers. He was a lot smaller then too. When I finally got to meet him, he was no longer
Yeah.
Patch Adams, Fat Adams. He was starting to get a little more ripped, but
Yeah.
I think he's
He
working in
did
the
get
Padre
later in his career.
organization now.
Yeah.
I think he's
I
a
think
minor
so.
league coach over on that side, another St. Louis guy working for somebody else.
Yeah.
Because
What
none
a
of those
shock,
guys
huh?
want to touch this organization.
I can't blame him.
We will go and finish up tonight. Next week will probably be our wrap up for the season. We thought they got to sweep Cincinnati to have a prayer, at least 2 out of 3. We'll give out some awards, things like that, and kind of run down with our fan base here what the winter is going to look like. Probably shooting one night a week and still doing a couple breaking news as it happens. Probably not going to be a very busy winter as far as the Cardinals go. But
Yeah,
Tyrell,
not
I've
at all. I
enjoyed
don't
the
think so.
regular season stuff with you. I look forward to keeping this going. Like I said, we'll wrap up next week to kind of finish our first season on the show.
I look forward to next season, man, and I hopefully it's we get some good stuff to look forward to and talk about next year.
For the Mouth of the West, Tyrell Mock, I am Mitchell Jenkins. This has been a Mitch and Mock and About the Cards podcast. We will see you next week. See you next week.